Doctor, I can't seem to hear you.
Uh-oh.
I couldn't
Guys,
hear you.
it's always great to hit turn off the mute button. Let me show our audience here because I'll do this when I cough, but right here on this particular mic, for those of you that like a condenser cardioid mic, there's a mute button right there that for the sake of your audience, if you're going to cough or sneeze or other things, then you can hit the mute button. So I'll do that, and then I'll forget to turn the button back off, and so no one can hear me. This is why it's great, by the way, to have a co-host if you're doing spaces on X, like my friend the mental reboot, who always tells me, hey Heath, we can't hear you. And so at any rate, yeah, Kuda, let me reintroduce you. So Kuda has, gosh, you have a few followers, don't you? I think you have maybe, what is it, 500,000 followers on X. You're a curator of the fit biz community, the inner circle community. You're a podcast host, and you were kind enough to interview me, gosh, just a couple days ago. And I would say that you're a influencer to top influencers on X. So go ahead and share with us how you got started on X. What was your motivation to hop on? Well, it was Twitter back then. What was your motivation to
Right.
do that?
Dr. Heath, I just want to start off by thanking you for inviting me today. I know we had UK actually on the Inner Circle podcast a few days ago, and had a great conversation. I think that lasted over an hour. But yeah, essentially, my journey on X started about 2 years ago. Funny enough, it's about 2 years ago in about a week or two. So it was April 2022 is when I decided to make the leap and, create this brand that I've become known as Lift Your Mind. And to be honest, on X for a very long time, I was someone who used to consume content. So X was a platform I think I joined all the way back in 2015, but I never really imagined myself as becoming a creator of any sort. So yeah, pretty much after jumping onto X, spending a few years on lingering, searching up a few different topics, I came across the space that you call the money Twitter. And money Twitter was essentially different to the Twitter that I was exposed to at the time. Now especially what we see with what's happening in the world, you see things that are mostly negative and not really constructive. So, I was part of those people who would engage in these things, and I never thought there was anything beyond that. It was an app I used subconsciously, to say the least. And then yeah, so this was around 2020, and for those who know, I do have a degree in psychology, which I did a few years back. So after that, I sort of like came back home, and this was COVID, right? So my plans before COVID, they kind of involved me taking my schooling to the next level, pursuing masters at some point. And then COVID sort of happened, and everything sort of took a standstill, to say the least. I came back home and sort of sat down and reflected and sort of wanted to sort of reorganize in my mind because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do at the time. So, I sat down, and for a very long time, I was sort of like stuck in this hole, sort of depressed, down, feeling sorry for myself, because, it was quite difficult for me to find a job. And I did find two jobs when I came back home, but I quickly discovered it was not for me. I had a very big problem with taking instruction, to say the least. Not to say that I'm arrogant or anything in any way, but I've always been, I think, an independent thinker and someone who, wants to go for things, on their own and on their own terms. So yeah, upon that, I pretty much bounced from job to job. This was between 2021, I think, started of 2021 up until to late 2022. So bounced out of a couple of jobs, and then one day, I was scrolling on Twitter and I came across, many of you know him as Andrew Tate. And I had seen him before, in 2018, late 2019, but I didn't even know who this guy was. And now I seen that he had blown up. And I sort of like got reeled into the world of money Twitter. I had inspirations like Ed Lenimore, JK Molina, those type of people, some of the people that I saw at the beginning, alongside obviously with, some of the biggest creators on there, sort of like the Twitter OGs. So yeah, up until that, I quickly realized that people were making a living out of this, and I thought, I could give this a shot because it was something that I almost became an addiction because I was spending 12 hours a day consuming. But my mindset had sort of shifted at the time because I was now looking at it from a different perspective. My feed was full of people who were spreading a positive image, a positive message, and it only inspired me, to sort of take the leap and get stuck from the situation I was and feeling sorry for myself. And I remember buying a course. I'm sure some of you know who are listening to this, some of the biggest creators, and it was the Art of Twitter. And this was generally a course, an ebook, pretty much with sort of like an A to Z sort of guide on getting started in building a brand. And at the time, I came with a decision of whether choosing to build a personal brand or building behind, a persona or image which has become lift your mind. And at the time, with whatever was going on in my life, I thought it would be better suited to sort of go alongside with the, sort of figure and this persona or the personal brand and, trying to test the waters because I wasn't always someone who was I consider myself introverted pretty much growing up most of my life. And I guess that was the motive for it. So,
That's
got
so
stuck into that.
well. That's so interesting that you say that you're
Yeah,
introverted, and you have nearly 500,000 followers. You decided to get on camera, which is a huge leap for a lot of creators on Twitter or X. And so a couple questions, just really quick, and as something I didn't want to breeze over it, but you said that you were
for
down, you
sure.
were very depressed. And I'm sure that you have discovered this in psychology that a lot of depression is really rooted in behavioral deactivation. So, behavioral deactivation. So, I want to point out that you got up and did something. You got up and started moving. And did you see a big difference right away with your mindset when you decided to get up and start moving forward?
For sure. I mean, I saw a huge leap, and I think this was coincided with, I think I credited a huge part of it to my family because at the time they saw that I was going through a difficult thing. Because I think for many people listening to this and who are graduates in this day and age, I know in the United States, there's the huge issues of student debt, and you get stuck in this position now where you don't know what you do with your life. You feel like you feel caged, and you have to go along with a certain, way of living life. And, I sort of decided I didn't want to go along that path because, most of the people that I did graduate with, they were stuck in these jobs that they absolutely hated and they didn't see the purpose of it. And, one of the things that got me moving was because, when I started applying some of these concepts that I was, feeding myself through this sort of refresh feed and the people that I was following at the time, I just realized that everything starts with one simple action, and that is moving. Why do you have to make certain behaviors hard to, like, why do you make, I sort of ask myself a question to say, why should I make it difficult for myself? And, you know, coinciding, procrastination and putting things to the second fiddle. But I just thought, what if I just did it? And as a result, we spoke about this briefly as well on the pod that we had a few days ago. And I was spending 18 hours a day on X. And I think because of that, I think once you get going and you find your purpose and you find something that you genuinely get addicted to, but in a healthy way, it's about getting addicted to those habits that are healthy and will keep you propelling you to be a better person. So
That's such
I
an.
found my habit
Yeah, go
and I
ahead.
stuck to it, and yeah. So I stuck that one habit, and yeah, I've been at it since.
Well, that's one thing I like to teach people is that everybody has habits.
Right.
Here's a curveball for the audience. Some of you people that follow me know this, but there's this whole thing about motivation on X, and everyone has motivation. It may not be in the proper direction. You may be motivated to get up into a 5K. You may be motivated to fast. You may be motivated to spend a lot of time on creating your culture, your community, your presence on X. However, you may be motivated to sit on the couch and eat honey buns all day long. So it's really about finding what you find the most meaning in. What do you find the most meaning in? And then you chase that. One of my favorite quotes is we found in research, and this comes from Dr. Kelly McGonigal, who does research in stress. It is always better to chase meaning than avoid discomfort. So I think about you creating for 18 hours a day. How did you keep up that momentum, that vigor?
Well, to be honest, a part of it is not me having a choice.
Ah,
And I say that because at the time, when I decided to make the decision to say I'm going to quit my job and not maybe look to pursue my further education at the time, a lot of people around me, not only friends, but family members, there were a few eyebrows that were raised, right? And they're like, are you sure you want to go about this route? And, in as much as, we talk about it in the Bible as well, in which pride can be a good thing, but also can be a bad thing. But I pride myself in being able to make the people around me proud. And, from seeing throughout this journey, my parents didn't judge me. They didn't say anything. They just said, hey, go ahead, go and do it. And they were very supportive. And, I did that. And as a child and and because of that particular thing now, I have now been rewarded the opportunity to sort of, carry, the family business going forward, which is a whole separate entity. But now, when I speak to my dad, he tells me how proud of me it is. And it warms me that I can make an impact not only in their lives, but in other people's lives who also do follow me on social media. But I pride myself, in really motivating. And once I'm at the top of the mountain, I can look back and say, I did that and I continue building on that. So, pride is something that I carry very much and it's a primary motivator. Some people say that it's a bit vain, but I think pride for any man is something that, if you look at some of the greatest leaders, they would pride themselves in their work. Look at Aristotle, these ancient Greek philosophers, they prided themselves in this beauty and all that. So I think pride was a key thing for me,
well, I
definitely.
want to point out because it sounds like you're a believer.
Yes, sir.
You're not an atheist, right? So there was this person that created something really really big. Um, as the story's told, and I'm sure it's kind of metaphorical parts of it, about the little 7 day thing, but it really took him about 6 days. And at the end of it, what did God do? He sat back and he looked at it. He said, "This is good." God Himself takes pride in His creation, and so yeah, don't think that you're narcissistic. Don't think that you're prideful just because you're taking credit for what you do. That can be a huge motivator. Well, we have a couple minutes left here, so let me move forward and ask you about just what are a couple of obstacles that you would warn some new creators to avoid?
I would say the biggest one is sort of avoiding the, sort of like the shiny object syndrome. It was something I struggled with at the beginning because, spending 18 hours a day just to see somebody maybe come back, come on the platform, just push 3 hours and pretty much maybe outgrow the amount of followers they have or outgrow the amount of money that you're making, it can be very discouraging. And it can lead to people wanting to take those shortcuts. But, you know, going the long way and sticking to my route and sticking to a particular game plan, algorithms change and all that. But I always hear people now, they tell me, something is not working, but they've only done it for 1 month. Keep trying it in spite of algorithm changes and see what may happen. That's what I found the most value in it. And it taught me a lot of things. It taught me two things. It taught me a lot of, resiliency, because it's not easy. And now I face it now in the world business that I have, which is in the form of a family farm. There are always obstacles that we do sort of come across. And I would say I learned those from my journey on X. A huge part of them came on, and there were times where I thought, was it even worth it? Because for those who know, I think I did this for about 6 to 8 months without making a single penny. So I wasn't making any money, and any money I was making, I was reinvesting back into my knowledge, back into courses that I need, back into mentorships, and keep going on my growth because I sort of like had the idea of it being a long battle. And like I said, I always pride myself on that, and I'm pretty happy that I stuck to those morals along as I was building my brand. So I would say that definitely. And the second thing, which I would say actually I would attribute to my success, and that is the value of networking. I say networking because a lot of people, they think of just because you're building maybe a presence on social media, social media is essentially just human interaction, right? And talking to other people. And I think people may take it at a superficial level that you're just talking to people. Try to cultivate those relationships because the people that you do start building with right now, there's going to be people that might be there 2 to 3 years years down the line. And these are some of the people who I still work with. Some of them are still my closest business partners. And shout out to Flo if he's listening to this as well. But Flo has been there pretty much from the beginning. He connected with me, and we're from completely two different parts of the world, right? I'm all the way in South Africa, he's in Germany. But I think in that we have managed to build that friendship and that relationship. And, we spoke about this as well the other day, built my perspective having perspective and appreciating other people's perspective will definitely get you very far because it's a very vast community of people from all different sides of the world in different shapes, forms, and sizes. So I would say networking was definitely up there and appreciating the relationships that you do build along the way.
My dad used to tell me no one ever cares how much you know until they first know how much you care. Three quick questions and we're out of here, guys. It's been past 18 minutes, so thank you for sticking with us. But the first question I actually didn't have on the menu, but I'll ask you just the same. What's the biggest thing that gets you out of bed in the morning?
The biggest thing that gets me out of bed in the morning is I would probably say it is living a legacy.
Awesome. What's your current best mindset hack? The number one thing that you do to keep your mindset focused in the proper direction?
I would say is if it takes 5 minutes to get done, why not do it now?
Why not do it now? I love that. And my final question: what do you think that you had most wrong about being an influencer when you first got started? What did you have most wrong?
I would say, something that I definitely did struggle with was having the discipline and consistency to keep going. You can get to a point where every thread you're writing is going viral, and for those who are listening to this, it was pretty quick to grow back then. So everything was going viral, and I sort of take a seat back from that. I haven't done threads in over a year, and I'm seeing people doing them again. So it's very easy to get complacent, and I'm always trying to fight that. So yeah, even until now, I think that's one of my biggest struggles for sure.
Don't get complacent. And one final thing: any final words of wisdom, a positive affirmation, just something to get people pumped up over the weekend to hit Monday morning running?
Yeah, for sure. I say for anyone out there, if you do have dreams or any aspirations, whether it's applying to building a personal brand on X or in whatever work you do in your 9 to 5 job, I think just keep on persevering because you find that a lot of the lessons in life that you learn from whether building an online presence or managing a business, in the world or caring for your family and maintaining those important relationships, it's all interlinked. Learn to appreciate relationships that you build, good and bad, because they do teach you something in life. I think it's very important to appreciate them. And I'm forever grateful for all the relationships that I built. So learn to build relationships and try to maintain, whether it's good or bad, don't always try to keep people to the curve if they don't have the same vision that you do. Just learn to appreciate them more.
That's awesome. And you're such a great example of that. I love your platform. I love your PFP. I love the content that you post. Humble that he was talking about is at Humble Flow, and I love his content also. And thank you guys for joining us. Look around for the next Executive Espresso. If you're into spaces, we're going to be doing a SOS, a space on spaces, right after this at the top of the hour, and you can come and be heard. Put your face on camera. Hope you have a better face than mine, and you can learn how to speak on spaces, learn top tips, learn how to make sure your mute button is on before you start talking on a podcast,
For sure.
So we're just here to learn from each other. Kuda, thank you so much. You guys have a great day and hope to see you back soon. If you want to do an interview with me on Executive Espresso, send me a DM. I'm always looking for people to interview, so you guys be sure and reach out. If I can be of assistance, DM me. I'm sure Lift Your Mind will be happy to help also.
For
And
sure.
so thank you for joining me.
For sure.
Happy Easter weekend. Remember what it's about. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Likewise. Thank you, Dr. Heath. Bye bye.